Starbucks strives to maintain an aura of exclusivity at its locations. Their coffee shops are presented as a kind of closed-door community, accessible only to those with special keys. The company even created its own vocabulary, introduced in a 2003 booklet under the slogan, "Make it your drink."
Instead of the familiar small, medium, and large sizes, Starbucks uses its own set, tall, grande, venti and trenta. A macchiato is referred to as a marble and a mocha as a zebra. Starbucks even developed its own grammar. When ordering, you must state the size before the syrup and the type of milk before the base drink.
Starbucks also has a secret menu, offering more than 80,000 coffee variations. These aren't listed on the official website, but fans have compiled the options across various online platforms. If you manage to find the recipe, the barista can prepare a mermaid frappuccino, mango milk tea, or a dirty frappuccino. By the way, the frappuccino is Starbucks' own invention. The company launched the milk and coffee ice cream blend in 1996, earning $52 million in just the first year.
Today, pets are incredibly popular across Europe. At most cafes, the first thing you receive is a glass of water for your pet. Starbucks has its own unique offer for pets, the puppuccino.
It's essentially a cup of whipped cream served as a treat for dogs. Regular customers also know that at Starbucks, you can sample pastries for free. They'll offer you a piece to try, and the rest will be shared among the guests in the cafe. To attract more customers, the company successfully leverages the FOMO effect.
The FOMO effect, fear of missing out or the fear of missed opportunities, is an obsessive fear of missing an important event or a valuable offer. This phenomenon gained momentum with the rise of social media. Approximately 56% of users experience discomfort or frustration when they miss out on a sale, a concert by their favorite band, or when they simply fall behind on catching up with the latest news.
To keep coffee lovers engaged, Starbucks regularly introduces seasonal offerings, such as pumpkin spice lattes in the fall or the unicorn frappuccino in the spring. The fear of missing out on a limited-time drink drives customers to spend even more. For fans of the coffee empire, the release of a new product is a major event. Social media explodes with tasting videos, often racking up millions of views.
Honestly, they all look delicious, but this one is just wow. It costs about $8.
Despite being extremely popular worldwide, Starbucks frequently faces criticism for the quality of its coffee, which many consider to be subpar. But despite the constant criticism, Starbucks remains firmly among the leaders in the global market. Customers stay loyal to the brand because of its corporate culture. Social media has become the primary and effective tool for promoting Starbucks and engaging with its audience. In 2019, the corporation was even recognized with an award from the British Advertising Institute for generating £4 in revenue for every £1 it invested in online advertising.
Brand promotion channels are actually quite limited. Advertising budgets are much smaller than those of other brands. For example, in 2019 the company spent only $247 million on advertising. This is 1% of the total volume.
For comparison, one of Starbucks' biggest competitors, Dunkin' Donuts, typically spends twice as much on advertising per year. At the end of the 1980s, Starbucks introduced health insurance for all employees. The company was one of the first in the American market to take such an initiative. As Howard Schultz explained, this was not done for marketing purposes. He emphasized that being socially responsible is one of the network's core values. This decision was inspired by Schultz's own bitter experience. His father was a truck driver, constantly changing jobs, each one harder than the last.
The most unpleasant job he ever had was delivering and picking up fabric diapers, long before the invention of Pampers, which would eventually revolutionize the diaper industry. One cold day in 1960, while working, he fell on the ice and broke his leg and hip. In 1960s America, if you were an uneducated worker and got injured, you were simply fired.
Schultz still remembers the agony of his family when the breadwinner lost his job. At just 7 years old, Howard couldn't imagine that one day he would build a business empire and create jobs all over the world.
The employee turnover rate at Starbucks is surprisingly high. standing at around 65%. This is relatively low, as turnover in the restaurant industry typically ranges from 150% to 400%.
The company works to retain its staff by offering attractive benefits. For example, employees can purchase company stock at a discount and receive tuition reimbursement for educational programs. During the peak of the coronavirus pandemic, the coffee giant offered free psychotherapy sessions to its US staff. Back in 1991, Starbucks gave all of its 700 employees, from baristas to top managers, stock options. Each employee received an option worth 12% of their annual salary. This program was called Bin Stock, and it was a revolutionary move by Starbucks. No other company in the retail industry had ever given its employees stock before. Thanks to this program, employees were eventually able to afford their own homes, expensive cars, or trips to distant countries.
I tried to make Starbucks the kind of company where my father would want to work. Not having even a high school diploma, he could never have become a director. But if he had worked in one of our coffee shops or at a roasting plant, he wouldn't have left in despair, feeling unappreciated.
Baristas say that to get a job at Starbucks, you need to memorize a lot of recipes. You also need to be well versed in the strict proportions and preparation times for drinks. For example, before pouring espresso, you should wait 18 to 22 seconds. If a trainee doesn't meet this time frame, they'll be sent back for more training. You can learn a lot about baristas just by the colors of their aprons. Usually, Starbucks uniforms are green, but there are variations.
Rare purple aprons are given to baristas who have won awards at international competitions in Europe, the Middle East, or Africa. In the US, veterans may receive uniforms with an American flag patch. People with hearing impairments wear aprons with the word Starbucks embroidered in sign language.
Although Starbucks considers fostering an atmosphere of respect for people an integral part of its mission, in 2018, the corporation found itself at the center of a major racial scandal. At a Starbucks in Philadelphia, 2 African American men asked an employee for keys to the restroom. However, they were denied because they hadn't made a purchase. The men insisted, and Starbucks employees called the police. The incident caused an uproar. The coffee giant being accused of racism and immediately getting blasted on social media.
This is not who we are, and it's not who we're going to be. We'll take this lesson and become better because of it.
In May 2018, Starbucks made the decision to close 8,000 of its stores across the United States a few hours earlier than usual in order to conduct anti-bias training for a total of 175,000 employees nationwide. According to Bloomberg estimates, the coffee giant lost $16 million because of this initiative. Protests are nothing new for Starbucks. For example, in the early 2000s, the company was criticized for allegedly funding the Israeli army, though Schultz denied these claims. In 2012, the company faced a widespread boycott following a Reuters investigation, which accused the coffee giant of engaging in tax evasion practices in several European countries. Since its founding, Starbucks has strived to be an environmentally friendly corporation. For example, the company's management noticed that people often took 2 or 3 cups to avoid burning themselves. In response, the company introduced paper sleeves to reduce paper usage. Since 1985, Starbucks has offered discounts to customers who bring their own cups. Starbucks is a leader in the Next Gen Cup initiative, which is looking for new ways to encourage customers to use reusable containers, such as through a deposit system.
So what does this mean? When you purchase coffee at a cafe, you take your cup with you, leave a deposit, or register the cup in some manner. Later on, you can return the cup at another participating cafe, where you will receive your deposit back as a refund.
Starbucks pays great attention to the sourcing and purchasing of coffee beans.
The company takes steps to ensure that local producers are paid a fair price for their coffee and avoids undercutting prices in the mass market. In addition, they have introduced a variety of programs aimed at supporting small-scale farming and helping local communities thrive.
Additionally, ahead of international legislation requirements, the coffee giant decided to completely phase out plastic straws.
For cold drinks, where it was particularly challenging to eliminate straws from circulation, the company developed innovative new lid designs that make it much easier to enjoy iced beverages without the need for a straw.
Today, Starbucks' expansion has spread across 5 continents. with over 32,000 stores worldwide.